Hey everybody, Mike again. So today I just wanted to do a quick video on um my DeepSeek versus Perplexity versus Gemini and which model is the best researcher in quotations on purpose because AI can be AI any day of the week, but now with DeepSeek being out, um is DeepSeek going to be my new go-to? Because when I write my AI blogs, I always have the AIs first create an outline of the subject I want to talk about because then that gives the AI something to actually talk about. Instead of just giving it one sentence, it now has an entire outline to create an AI article. So, like in my make automation here, you can see I'm using Gemini to create the outline, but I do have an error code here because Gemini sometimes doesn't want to work for me and it gets really old really fast. And so I have an error out to Perplexity, which then gives me that. And then, of course, I just have Chat GPT cleaning it up. But what I wanted to do, though, was just see which one will create a better outline. Now, the funny thing about Perplexity is their sonar reasoning and reasoning models, both of them, are actually powered by DeepSeek now. Now, obviously, they have their own prompt with this and they've created their own, but it's based off of DeepSeek. So I just use Sonar Pro because that one's not based off of DeepSeek. So as you can see here, the model I have is Sonar Pro because reasoning is basically DeepSeek. And I gave all three models the same exact prompt. They have a system prompt and a user prompt. That's why I'm using it in here too. It's easier to do system and user prompts with Make than it is if I were to go into these models individually. But each one has the same exact prompt. And I'm using Open Router. You can see I have R1 down here. Now I probably could use what's that other one? Uh V3. Yeah. This one's probably good too, but I'm just going to use the straight R1 model just cuz I just want to see what it looks like. So once again, all three of these were given the same exact prompt. And of course, I was stupid because I had them update a Google Sheet, which looks like that. But if you've been following along, I just basically gave it the history of digital cameras because I know photography, I know digital cameras. I've been in photography pretty much a whole life, it seems like. So I knew what kind of research I was going to get. So instead of trying to read all this gibberish, I just copy pasted them. So this here is what Perplexity got me. Now, Perplexity kind of went all over the place, and I think it really started hallucinating at one point. But I mean, all in all, it's a decent one, but it's like it started with this, and then it gave me my heading, my key points, my keywords, and then of course I tell it give me a one sentence elaboration. But this like subtopic or heading or whatever, this is the only time it appears. It doesn't appear on the next one or the next one or the next one. So it totally forgot to do that. I mean, it did give me great keywords. I got key points. Gemini actually made it a little more, this is why I like Gemini better because it just looks nice. Here's the key points. Here's keywords, facts and figures. Here's a brief explanation. I have a heading, first digital cameras, and it's all around not bad. And then DeepSeek, well, it's good, but the one thing it did miss is the keywords and the elaboration part. So I like having the keywords, I like having the elaboration. DeepSeek did not do that. And like I said, if I show you, we go to the prompt, I do tell it to have a heading, the key points, and then keywords. And then I say add an elaboration of each point. And Perplexity was the only one that didn't do that. Or DeepSeek. Perplexity did. It gave me my keywords, gave me elaboration. Gemini did. And like I said, I like the way Gemini's looks because this is good data that I could feed. I would feed all of this into my chat agent to write the first part of the blog. This would be the second part of the blog. This would be the third part. This is good information. Now, I actually, though, prefer what DeepSeek researched. So once again, I've been in digital, I've been into photography and digital cameras for a long time. So I mean, this starts off with the 60s and 70s, which is amazing. And it goes into the 80s and 90s where it talks about some of the first real digital cameras. But then here, section 3, this is like one of the most critical parts of digital photography is this time frame was huge. I mean, the difference between a Nikon D1 and a Nikon D3, even though they're only a few years apart, was huge. I mean, this was a big deal. And then in 2010, we started to see the mirrorless revolution where Sony just came in and kicked everybody around for a few years until Nikon and Canon finally brought it up. And see, once again, I love this. It even mentions the new 61 megapixel. And then, of course, it does mention future trends. And then, of course, it gave me some sources. I mean, this is all great information, but like with Perplexity, it kind of started off with the beginning, but then it kind of, I don't know what's going on here. It started to bring up the first digital cameras, but then it also brings up Apple's digital cameras. I mean, that's all one subject. And then it kind of just glances over just the rise of DSLRs. And then it goes into camera phones. Okay, if I'm writing a photography blog, I'm probably camera phones, that's its own subject. I wouldn't include this in the history of digital cameras. And then it basically just kind of goes, oh, from 2000s and beyond. Once again, a lot happened from 2000 to current in digital photography. Deepseek got it right. These two are definitely two separate subjects. These were huge. This 10 years right here was huge in digital photography. And the last 10 years were really huge in digital photography. And Perplexity was just kind of like, oh, yeah, just put it in one little sentence. And Gemini kind of did the same thing. I like its beginning. It talks about the first digital camera. It then talks about the dawn of consumer cameras. But then it does the same thing, though. It just kind of blends the DSLR and mirrorless cameras. There's a huge gap missing in here. So I mean, if you don't know the subject and don't know that, your blog is going to be pointless because you're going to miss, like I said, this is huge. This is huge. Just kind of blending it all into one thing, that doesn't work. You're missing out on so much information that happened in these years. And then, of course, it goes into smartphones again. It starts talking about smartphones, which I wouldn't even care to talk about. And it does have some good future points about 8K and AI powered features. But the thing is, though, is if you're going to use AI to create a blog for you, you have to make sure you actually understand the subject that it's talking about. So when it prints out this gibberish, if you didn't know anything about digital photography, this is probably fine for you. This one's probably fine. But unless you knew, though, that these two sections are huge in the digital photography world. So you have to know photography, or you have to know the subject that you're, if you're creating a blog on just some random thing that, you don't know a lot about, definitely have a headline written out. And then I would research that, because once again, when I have my giant blog going here, I want to make sure it's actually giving me the correct information. So that's kind of my little, that's kind of my short little thing. If you're going to use these awesome AI tools, make sure it's actually giving you the information you want. Now, I could probably fine tune each one of these down to start giving me better information. But I mean, unless I know the subject, how would you dial this down? And like I said, I am upset, though, that Deepseek forgot the keywords and the elaboration. But like I said, this is better information. This is more factual information about digital photography. That's like, I remember hearing about that camera, the DCS, the stupid Kodak digital camera that was like $500,000. But like I said, these two things, though, I mean, this could be its own blog. This could be its own blog because they're so powerful. And both Perplexity and Gemini just kind of was like, oh, yeah, and we go right into talking about camera phones. and Gemini just kind of put it all in one. Yeah, it did the same thing. It just kind of put those 20 years in one little lump sum. And it's like, there was a lot more going on than that. And then go into smartphone crap. So, like I said, if I were to pick a better one, I mean, like I said, I love the Deepseek. Maybe I need to play with it more to get the keywords and the elaboration part. But I mean, this is exactly, I mean, all of this is great. I mean, Gemini's not bad. Perplexity, I'm just having issues with Perplexity. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not prompting it right. I don't like what Perplexity's giving me anymore. And of course, the reason I'm using these three models too is because they're the only ones that have access to the internet, currently. Now, of course, I am trying to create my own little like RAG agent. So it would use that instead of just giving them a random keyword and hoping it comes out. But so that's my quick little comparison of what you get when you search with these three things to create your AI, as I called it, researcher. So that's all I got for you today. See you again.